So, what is traction? That is a great question and one that has more than one simple answer. Simply put, traction is gaining early customers for your business. This can come in the form of actual sales of your MVP or first iteration of your product or service, helping to generate cash to help power that business. But traction can also be measured in time, energy, and effort, shown by a potential customer who may only want to try out your product or service in the beginning. This type of traction is just as important as a paying customer and shows that you have convinced someone that either their money, time, or both is worth spending to help validate your solution. A pilot test of your product at a company is a great example of investing time rather than money to gain valuable insight. So why is it so important for your startup to gain traction early? Simply because it validates the very core principle on which your business is founded. Third-party acceptance that you are solving a real-world problem that is worth solving. It provides you with a real-time feedback loop that will allow you to quickly iterate and improve your product or service. These early customers will be references for your next 1,000 customers and provide valuable testimonials and referrals to your business. It can also help fund early stages of your business and provide much needed cash to get to a full launch. But my favorite is it allows you to control the narrative with investors and show proof that you have something of value, enough for a stranger to spend money and time to help you validate. Let's dive a bit deeper on the value to an investor. By gaining real traction, you've created a fact that others see value and no investor can argue otherwise. They may still have questions about your business model, but you have already reduced the risk by gaining traction on your own. You've demonstrated that you don't need them to execute, but accelerate the momentum that you've already started. These are some of the freshest words any investor can ever hear. To be an entrepreneur is also being a salesperson. You're constantly selling, whether it's your idea, the problem you're trying to solve, why others should join you, and most importantly, the value of your product or service to a potential customer. Traction shows that you and your team are capable of selling and convincing others to take the risk of using a new product or service. As mentioned earlier, investors want to accelerate business growth, not create it. Show them that you know how to execute before asking for money. Early sales acts as a baseline to help validate your business model, thus reducing the risk for investors. Since traction is all about selling, let's start with cornerstone, trust. It's all about relationships. Customers need to know you to like you. In business, have you ever liked someone you didn't know? Of course not. And they need to like you in order to trust you. Trust is earned and starts with building the relationship over time. Take the time to get to know your customer and let them get to know you before diving into your sales pitch. No one will ever buy from you if they don't trust you or your team. Just think of the last time you bought something of value from someone you didn't trust. I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to come up with one. In order to get started to gain traction, you must be prepared and have all of your ducks in a row. Don't waste your time, or more importantly, your potential customers' time if you're not prepared and ready to go. Getting started means making sure you have spent the necessary time identifying the problem your customer is having and your solution to that problem. Identifying who the target audience is and really understanding their pain points. Make sure you can clearly define your value proposition that sets you apart from the competition, and have your minimal viable product, MVP, ready to go, tested by you so you know exactly what it can and cannot do for the customer. After these are done and checked off, you need to prepare yourself to sell, learn, iterate, and optimize based on the feedback. Be sure to leave your ego behind, because you need to be ready to hear both the good, the bad, and the ugly. Every product or service has a life cycle. Jeffrey Moore, in his book, Crossing the Chasm, lays out what a typical tech adoption life cycle looks like and broke it down into its 5 segments. The first are the early adopters. Next up are the innovators. Then comes the early majority. then the late majority, followed by the laggards. Your first potential customers are the innovators, and they typically make up around 2.5% of the total. Innovators are the first ones to adopt any new technology and who appreciate technology for its own sake. Innovators are the first to realize the potential in a new product or service. Your next segment to focus on are the early adopters. They are also known as visionaries, and they make up approximately the next 13.5% of the marketplace. Visionaries are the rare breed of people who have the insight to match emerging technology to strategic opportunity, the temperament to translate that insight into a high-risk project, and the charisma to get others to buy into the project. Innovators and early adopters are your main targets when it comes to gaining traction.